found a transportation worker card loophole for getting transportation workers who would work on a ship much like that barge out there to be able to come and go freely in restricted areas in places like the Port of Baltimore. Again, the Port of Baltimore is a place that's come up again and again in our story as a place where illicit trade, drugs for weapons seems to happen, especially if you're speaking of Imran Awan, of course Nancy Pelosi and her father with Project Underworld, etc. Maybe later. There was a TWIC card there, and remember Imran Awan had an associate, a safe house down there where these TWIC cards could be obtained, these transportation worker identification cards. Now again, it seems odd that the 123 drop box, the 123 drop box is a drop box in Congress, a U.S. Congress mailbox that seems to be backed up in Pakistan. Now it just seems Washington, D.C., 60 miles away from here, is corresponding with them, going down there to change air filters. Seems to be an odd activity. He's involved with the Japanese auto parts, shipping heavy parts to a company called Tegawa Auto Parts. Very interesting, odd connection. So if we turn to this island here as a symbol, it's a symbol for our Gibson Island. It's a symbol for exclusiveness. It's a symbol for our research, which has tied together all sorts of different parts of this story, going from the end of World War II all the way till now and the takedown of Trump. And I'll give you a good example of that. Each person giving a part of the story. As I mentioned, Task Force had a lot of the story with people coming from Germany, but she didn't know much about the Reinhard Gehlen spy network. She didn't know about the FBI and how the FBI was trying to vet those people and how the FBI was working to out those people. But then she meets and I meet our good friend McDuff, whose father happens to be that person. Today we find out that the person in McDuff's big bust of this spy ring, again, this spy ring moves from Germany, ends up using Cuba as our island symbol here as a way station, as a wayport, in order to export revolution to different countries and to take their energy in South and Central America. McDuff outs this network, and there's this person, a guy named Charles W. Lyons, Charles Wesley Lyons, who just happens to be married to the person who is involved with the Russian retreats. That marries very well, no pun intended, with my research about the Russian retreats being the place where, as you would move your pieces from the old spy networks of the Nazi spy networks, as you would move them in, the Ukrainians and the collaborators and the different people that were operatives for you, move them into doing operations out of Cuba for a while. Then at some point you would move them in to DC. You would try to inculcate them into the actual sinew of the Washington government itself, and that is done up this river here at the Russian retreat. Task Force, myself, and McDuff all felt very much that that was the secret of the Russian retreats, not only here in Maryland, not too far away from here, but also the one in New York. And we all turned out to be right through this Charles W. Lyons character that marries Raskob, who gives the retreat to the U.S. State Department. Finding this group of folks at Gibson Island who seem to be this kind of cadre of U.S. OSS officers, seem to have almost a DuPont flag and a DuPont personality. It always seems to be what's best for DuPont and to the heck with the different nations of the